Eisen?
Hello! Welcome to Season 4, Episode 16 of Lawfully Chaotic.
He's very energetic.
Yeah, thanks for joining us or
And,
watching.
and that's it for the show. Like that's it. It's, from there, it's all downhill energy.
I love how the new chat overlay though pops up during the intro, so you can definitely tell who was on first. So Andy, you win this week.
Oh, sweet.
You gotta love the way how Brian gets excited about design work.
Well, duh. But I cleaned that up. So our information is up here. Our guest information is up here. And our new chat window is down here.
I like it.
Sweet. And
Very professional.
And the fuck you pixels is going to stay there until I either get my guests or they acknowledge that it's up there and pick a fight with me. So, but
I really hope they pick a fight.
I'll take a screenshot and send it to him if you want.
Be my guest. My guest. I've tagged them in a couple of I tagged them once or twice in something that I did. But yeah, be my guest. I'm looking for a fight from them. And my answer is send me what I fucking paid you for, or I just paid you, for the right to the shit on you. So
they should at least give you your money back. With interest at this point. Because they could have been earning you some interest. In that.
Me and the 500 other dipshits that backed them. Lost in the mail, right?
Yeah.
At least I got my too trusty D4. Anyway.
It's a very, very expensive D4. Don't lose it.
Yeah, right. $400. They're $200 D4 dice, and I got two of them. Anyway, enough of that shit. Welcome. As with me always is Jason from TTRPG Academy, our consummate story. And joining us again, becoming a somewhat regular guest, is Kristen from Kristen's Epic Adventures.
Hello. You can't get rid of me, man.
No, that's all right.
I'm like a parasite.
That is right. We've sprayed and she still shows up.
I'm like a tick. I bury into you and just suck your blood.
All right, announcements. So my announcements are that I said I would watch all 3 current episodes of Age of Umbra, and I did, and they're awesome.
Aren't they great?
My God. I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll start out talking a little bit about their stream, and then we can jump into talking more about the game. But also, I did start reading the rules. I bought a core set because I put my deluxe set away. I didn't want to open it, and I got the core set and started reading through that.
You bought a core set? Black, white, red lace, purple lace?
It is to slim my fat stomach, my old man's stomach. It is.
Quote the Robin Williams. Quote.
It looks wonderful, yes. But no, I intend to read the entire book cover to cover. So, so I did that. I got a little bit of interesting news work-wise from an old. I can't really, and I'm not being coy, but
no, you're just being shy.
Just being shy. I got a little work.
Oh.
No, it's from
That's who you talked about last week, right?
what?
Isn't it the gal that you talked about last week who used to work for Critical Role?
Oh, I already spilled the beans.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you talked about that last week.
Okay. Yeah.
Apparently, only one thing can live in his brain at a time, and he was
Mhm.
focused on
What?
Age of Umbra, so everything else.
One thing, you're being
Okay.
generous, my friend.
That is being very generous,
Yeah.
actually.
It's not so much a one thing; it's more of like a weight, like grams. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, that is. I can't divulge yet. What is going on there. But suffice it to say that I'm super pumped to be working with her again. So good news there.
When can you tell us? How long do we have to wait before you can actually tell us?
I don't know. It's up to her, so I'll let you know. I have no idea. A negative connotation about pixels on screen. I thought maybe that was over by now.
No. Don't poke the bear. Don't get him going again.
It's been what was it last week? 4 years and 20 days. So that would now mean it's 4 years and 27 days. In fact, I'm going to add a fucking counter up there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm going to add
It's gonna be like 75 years later, and the counter's gonna be like
yeah, I will literally be like, in the old folks' home, and they'll be like, "Mr. Weiss, you got a package." I'm like, "Is that my fucking dice?" So
he's so excited, he's peeking out.
It is. Sorry. It is. Yeah, let me hold on. Let me lower that.
No, that just encourages you to be louder. Right? That wasn't my intent.
No. I'm not gonna. No, it is far from over, and like I said, it's going to stay there until I either get it or get the dice, or they're like, "Why are you throwing shade on us?" And I'm like, "Well,
oh, they know why. They know why there's shade."
Yeah.
All they're gonna do is just tell you, "Well, then just go order it on Amazon. It's right there."
Well, they should give him an Amazon credit in the amount of money.
Dear Brian,
No.
we understand that you're upset, and we agree with you. You should be upset. However, in the interim, feel free to follow this free link and pay for the dice over at Amazon.
Pay for them again.
You see, over at Amazon, we're selling them for like 3/4 of the cost. So just treat it like a discount.
You could take them.
You can literally see the purple and red slowly rising through the flesh.
Did you report them to the Better Business Bureau?
Rat cat.
Oh, there we go.
I did not. I mean, it's a kick. You know what? I don't want to talk about the fucking pixels.
Okay.
Hey, you're the one that left it on the banner, buddy. It's bait on a hook.
And I told you,
Bait on a hook.
it's going to stay there. Oh, actually, that's a good idea too. I'm going to say, I'm going to start we're going to add a Lawfully Chaotic episode, a show every week, and it's just going to be an hour of fuck you pixels and the day count, and people can just sit there and watch it and feel bad for me.
Hey, Margaret, come look. He's still mad at them.
Still mad at them. Anyway,
I do feel bad. I feel bad. I would be very, very upset if I had spent that much money on a Kickstarter.
I told you, if they would have said, you know what, we took your money, but the thing flopped and you're fucking out $400, I'd be pissed. I'm not going to lie, but it'd be like, whatever. It's just the fucking way they handle it. I told you, it's the optics of it.
I don't remember what company it is, but I just saw an apology from some company today on social media that has to do with TTRPG.
Hero Forge.
Yeah. And all the comments were like, "Hey, we really appreciate the apology. You're doing the right thing, and we're still."
That's all it takes.
I don't even know what it was about. I just saw the apology.
I don't either. I don't either. But I saw it. I read the first line. I was in the car. I got sidetracked or whatever. But you're right. That's all it fucking takes. Just admit you fucked up and apologize and stop. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
For the 12th time, enough with the pixel dice. Let's talk about Daggerheart because it's fucking awesome.
Oh, yes.
Wait, actually, no, I'm sorry. We didn't. Do you guys have any
announcements? Really?
Yeah. You guys have any announcements?
I don't think I have any announcements.
Just that we were unable to play the finale of Grimoires the Unseen because one of our players couldn't play. So we pushed it off to Monday.
Oh, okay.
So after next Monday, we have our 0 session with Daggerheart. So, which is giving me a lot of time to look through their campaign framework, methodology, and organize some ideas that I have. And I'm so glad I don't have to build a game now. Like, between the way I love Candela Obscura, the way that flows with the degrees of success, and now the way they've built out Daggerheart, I mean, I feel like I've got the triad of ways I like to play games. You know, I've got the theatrical way, I've got this new crunchy mechanic way that's kind of very flavorful and fun to play, and then I have the more traditional D&D way. Of those three, I mean, I could take any one of those sets of mechanics and overlay them on any theme or event, and probably be able to play whatever you want to play. Does the world need 25 game systems? I don't know.
It doesn't really need them. I like to buy them, so yes, it needs them.
Yeah, I've fallen. I've fallen out of that demographic. Yeah, I've fallen out of that demographic. When Brian showed me the cost of his addiction, I was like,
"Oh yeah,
really?
That was bad."
You know how many games, both RPG and board games, that I have never played?
Yeah, well, that's fair. Board games are not cheap anymore.
I've got Gloomhaven sitting over there for 2 years. Have never fucking opened it. But it was like,
that makes me sad.
It was like $98 on Amazon one day. I'm like, fuck it, I'm buying Gloomhaven because I refuse. I didn't want to pay like $150 or $175, whatever the fuck it costs.
The only board game I've gotten close to buying is Dark Tower. The Dark Tower reboot looks so good, and I've watched at least two. I've watched at least two walkthroughs. You know, two people do walkthrough plays, and I was like, oh god, that does look really good. You know,
it's really cool.
But it's also like $200 for the board game.
Yeah, but that one, I mean, the tower, like there's a lot of
it's a game. Yeah. And
what, does it have is there a big 3D tower with it or something? Is that?
Oh yeah, I don't have it here. It's downstairs. Next time you're on, I'll bring it up. But yeah, it's about.
I haven't seen it.
It's probably about 12 inches high, and it's like like that wide, and it is fully digital, and it syncs up with the app, so you use an app to play the game, but it's a physical game, right?
Yeah.
But it syncs up with the app, and you like drop skulls in the top of the tower, and it randomly rotates and does all this electronic magic inside.
Yeah, it's by Noble Knight Games, so if anyone wants to go take a look at it, go check out at Noble Knight Games.
That's cool.
And, no, I think it's Restoration Games. Noble Knight is a seller. That's a game.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
It's Restoration Games. Dark Tower.
It is.
So when certain events happen in the app, which are facilitated by you actually playing the game, it's like you hit next in the app, you make your moves, and you tell the app what you did, and it tells you what to do. Like it'll randomly, like, okay, you all the players have taken their turn, so now it's the tower's turn, and then it all of a sudden, just as soon as you hit next, it starts spinning and the lights change and whatnot, and it spits out skulls in random directions. They did a fantastic job on that game. It is really cool.
Yeah, it's almost worth it just to buy their little skull pack that's like $7. I really like that.
Yeah. The minis, I mean, I'm a sucker for a game that's got chock full of minis and really good ones. I've bought a few games just for the minis.
Because then you can paint them all, Brian.
Exactly. And you know how many painted game minis I have?
I'm sure a ton. I'm sure you stream them all the time so we all can watch you paint.
I have 3
minutes. No, he doesn't.
I know he doesn't.
I have 4. I have 4 miniatures from Marvel United from Simon Games painted, and I have probably 4,000 that are Zombie Side. Oh no, that's true. I have a couple of Zombie Side ones painted too. Those are awesome to paint. But anyway, Dark Tower is really cool. One of the coolest features is it's a co-op game because you're all trying to beat the tower, but there's also like a way that you could kind of win by completing like your play.
You can also play solo. It does have a solo setting as well.
All co-op games generally by nature have a solo mode because you're playing against the game, but this one is cool because it adds in the little little bonus of, even though you're all playing cooperatively, you can still kind of complete your goal first or best and be the winner. So.
It's like you have a mission kind of thing to complete.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I know, Andy. I almost called you this past Monday to paint because I was painting on Monday, and then 45 minutes into it, I'm like, should have called Andy. So, perhaps Monday. But anyway, how did we get on Dark Tower and games? Oh, you said because you said you have the 3 systems and our games.
Yeah, I was also referring to the difference between costs and you know, the affordability of having a passion for games. I mean, the journey is real.
I had a lot of games. I sold them all because I found that I had so many that I constantly had to spend like an hour or more rereading the rules every time I wanted to play. Because I should have had just a few and played them more often, so I would know.
I will say this: the cost of board game. I mean, RPGs not so much, a little bit. And this applies to RPGs also. But the cost of board games these days, obviously, they're you know, it's a premium. Yet you really get your money's worth with a lot of games.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's not like buying Monopoly, you know, in the 80s or something. They're really high production and stuff.
Yeah.
So totally worth the money. It's just money I don't have or money I'd rather spend on.
Yeah, no, totally.
Food, gasoline, electrical power, you know.
Wait, did you say gasoline or Vaseline?
Gasoline. I mean, if you prefer Vaseline, you know, that's fine too.
I said Vaseline for a second too. I was like, whoa, what are you doing?
Any thoughts on Sunderfolk game? I have not heard of that one.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either.
A board game or an RPG? There is, as long as we're on the subject, there's a Kickstarter out right now from Roxley Games, which is also one of my favorite game developers because they did Dice Throne, which is one of my top 3 favorite games that I own right now. And it's called Excalibur. And have you ever played Silver? Anybody ever played the game Silver? It's a card game. It's kind of a social, what do they call it? A social deduction game, or like kind of a fuck your neighbor type thing.
I haven't tried it, but it sounds familiar.
Take a look at the Kickstarter. They have a deluxe version, and they have a regular version that you can buy. They have a deluxe version, that online cozy couch board game type that uses your phone. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've not seen that. I'll check.
I like to tie into the phone. I think that's clever.
Yeah. So they've got a regular version of the game. They've got a deluxe version, which has like wooden tokens, and they've got a collector's version, which has like metal swords. They've got Excalibur, 3 swords like form your board. They're like metal swords, plastic and enamel tokens for the game. So, and it does look like a cool game, and I want to play it. But I was like, again, it's like metal swords. Yeah, I'll fucking buy that. So of course,
see, there is a demand out there for these high ticket items. So we just need to come up with some type of high ticket item to sell to the TTRPGers that got some money.
Yeah, I want to make some fear and hope tokens for Daggerheart and just like charge
nice
$1,000 a piece for
Oh, sure, yeah. You better make sure you read their open gaming license first to see if you can do that.
Yeah, I know.
You probably just can't call them that. You can probably do it, but you can't.
Speaking of Daggerheart, so I watched the 3 episodes.
Oh my god!
Have you guys watched them? Are you current?
Yes,
I am current. Yes.
Okay.
I've watched all of the session 1, not 0. I've watched 0, but session 1 and session 2. I probably have listened to them both at least 4 times because I play them while I'm at work.
Nice.
That makes sense.
So I just listen to them over and over and over.
I have to be paying attention the first time through. Like I can't watch it while I'm working because I tone it out. And
right.
Man, I gotta say, it's amazing. I am fully invested after a 0 and 2 episodes. I think more so. I like Mighty 9 is still. I came in about halfway through Vox Machina. Mighty 9, I came in at the beginning, and I still think that Mighty 9 was my favorite campaign overall. But I gotta say, I feel more excited and invested about Age of Umbra than I did about either of those. Like,
it's awesome.
First of all, Sam plays the best character. No matter what the character is, he just is a master. I love the whole cowardice, scrabbling hoofs, scared thing.
He's a scared deer.
And I gotta say, I think Allison's character, August, probably the most interesting character concept I've ever seen in a role-playing game, ever.
Right?
Yeah.
He comes up with good ones always. I liked Caduceus and I liked Molly Mock.
I think one of the things that's going to be really fun about running Daggerheart is the unlimited combination of how characters are built. Like there's just and the variety is driven by the more creative the player is, the more interesting the player the character they can build. There's not really any limitation, or it's you watch as D&D releases the content for the Psy Warrior, and they're releasing content for the muscle bound wizard, and it's like they have to release that because they thought that you couldn't do stuff like that, and then suddenly but you look at what Daggerheart does with how you could create a character, and you're like, you could create a ribbit who is divine but also dark, and you can piece together the ribbit doesn't have to be from a certain land. The ribbit already gets a little bit of advantages for being a ribbit.
Yeah.
But you're not forced into the idea that, you have to come from a certain area or be a part of a certain class, subclass combination to reach something. You could pull out your cards and go, okay, what if I did this, this, and that? What if I did this, this, and that? And you can do that without having to waste a character sheet.
Exactly.
I absolutely love that.
I'm glad that you said that you mentioned, the more creative the player, because I've got a couple observations, like high level observations already. Well, first a couple mechanic, tactical mechanic ones. The initiative, the no initiative thing is still, I think that's going to probably be one of the biggest adjustments for D&D players, is the not rolling initiative. It seems to balance itself, though. It seems to work, but again, you got to take this through the lens of you're watching the best role players in, ever play this. Okay. They're all super creative. They're all narrative.
But I would say there's a difference between being a great role player and being a good gamer, right? Those are two different realities. To this day, you can watch like last season's Hell's Bells, and most of the players will often go, is that a wisdom save? I don't remember if that's a wisdom save.
I don't care about gaming. I'm talking about role playing.
Yeah. But I think one of the fun things,
they forget the rules all the time.
All the time, yeah. And what I think that this does, it's a lot more forgiving on the idea that you have to remember the rules. Like it because you have so much reference and so many resources to use, it's quite possible you just decide to use your hope resources to do all your outcomes because it's comfortable to you to do your hope resources, right?
Yeah.
Or you might spend, all of your grit, to do this, or you might spend, like you could focus on the resources that are comfortable to you, and then gradually figure out what the rest of the rules do for you.
And
which I really like that.
To your point, last week, you have so many different resources to use, which is a major departure from D&D. I mean, there's going to be no more like, I don't have any bonus actions, I guess I'm done. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know there is no action economy like there is, but still, the opportunity to use all these different resources is so awesome. But I think the one challenge might be, I mean, every table I've ever played at, everybody wants to have high initiative and everybody wants to go first. You know what I mean? And it's going to be tough when it's kind of a free for all. I think for some tables to deal with that. But again, I think it seems to balance nicely. The other mechanic that I probably will have to adjust to myself is shit, I forgot what it was.
I'm guessing the damage mechanic once you hit.
Is it the thresholds? Damage
Thresholds?
thresholds? Experiences?
No, the death mechanic is awesome, by the way.
Yes.
It's super cool. Shit, and what was it? It was something else, but maybe in reading today I already solved it. But the high level observations I've made is that I forgot my train of thought too. Jason, you distracted me.
Why is it Jason's fault?
Right? Well, that's because I'm here.
I was saying I had it, and then you started talking about the mechanics, and I'm like, yeah. It'll come back.
I would rather he blame you than me, so I guess.
And God forbid he writes down notes. God forbid he's like in the middle of something and he writes down a note to remind himself.
Well, I didn't expect. Never mind.
I have
Yeah,
to
you
say,
should have expected.
I have to say that I have read through. So they have a free quick start adventure online that anybody can grab. You don't even have to have the books. It gives you the basic rules you go through. And I was reading that because I want to run it for some friends. And one thing I loved about that with the whole community building the world and the players helping build the world is there's one part where there's a tavern and they describe the tavern being multiple levels high, like circular. And each player gets to describe what a floor of the tavern looks like. It's like, what feel is it? What kind of people do you see there? Like, what's the look of it, the vibe? So each level of the tavern can be completely different. And then as a DM, you're encouraged to work it into the story.
Well, and you know where that came from? That idea. So when Liam O'Brien was playing Caleb, there was that episode where he allowed all the players to describe what their room looked like.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and that was such. I was very impressed by that little input that he did, because I've always felt that most players are too afraid to ask for a little bit of license to be creative within a game. And I think that really bolstered the idea that as a GM, feel free to ask your players, say, hey, you have a magic mansion. What do you think it looks like? And then to see Liam then look at each player and go, okay, well, you go ahead and describe what you think your room looks like.
Yeah. It takes some of the pressure off too, because you don't have to come up with everything. You don't have to have this whole fleshed out world where you've come up with everything. You can ask the players to contribute and then work stuff into it, and you get a lot more player buy-in.
Yeah, and I just don't make it like homework, though. I've noticed that if you make it too much like homework, they get really turned off. They'll pretend they like the idea of homework, but they really don't like the idea.
I would just ask them just ask them at the table in that moment, just to come up with something. Don't you got to go home and come up with 2 pages worth of what something's like.
And I have 2 campaigns right now that are doing exactly that, where they're building the world themselves.
Oh wow.
The physical world where it takes place, where the 3 kingdoms are functioning, that's one campaign. And another campaign is called the Shattered Spiral, where the entire campaign takes place in like a medieval version of a hive city, a city that's like, hundreds of miles in size and height and so, but that's all I did was some framework. They're constantly going into the Discord lore channel and adding their own lore based on their own backgrounds. And then as I watch them create that, I then go in and start using that as part of the framework. For the most part, they've built the entire world themselves. Wow. They've even created their own nemesises, and their own sort of big bads. Nemesi. They create their own nemesi. I think that's the next phase of gaming, because of how easy it is to get a table together online, and you get exposed to so many more diverse potential players. I think that's the next 10-year kind of like shift, is that GMs are going to feel the pressure get taken off of them, and as their players mature and they want to build their own world, it becomes easier. And I think D&D tries to do that with their little buildings or whatever you can develop together as a group.
Bastions.
Yeah. How impressed I am! I forgot the name.
You were all about the whole Bastion system.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I've been using that since 2nd edition, anyways. I just didn't call it that, right?
Right.
I was using milestones in second edition, but I just wasn't calling it milestone. I never really had a label or an idea of structure when I was doing those things. I just called it being creative. So I didn't know you were supposed to label things. I thought that you could just look at your players and go, hey, you know what? None of you have enough XP. Let's get rid of the XP system. Let's just say at the end of every session, you gain a level and we'll move on. Or let's say your characters go find a place to train after spending your gold and you level up or whatever you want to call it, and, we called them castle headquarters or tavern headquarters or, we just called them things because I wanted the players to have something that they could vest themselves in the real world.
Yeah.
I didn't know what money sink meant, but evidently that's why they built bastions so that as people earn a lot of gold, it's a lot easier for them to spend that gold that they're never going to spend.
Instead of buying every legendary magic item in the DM's guide.
Well, yeah, but who wants to offer it,
Exactly.
But
that's my point. By the way,
only they had a Kickstarter they could back.
Yeah. It did occur to me. I kind of touched on it. It kind of melded into the same thing. But one of the observations I had made pursuant to especially the initiative, which is, is that I think players will either have to adjust a little bit or mature a little bit to be able to properly utilize the spotlight system rather than a lot of players need to be told now it's your turn. So that's what I was saying when, you're watching the best players there are, the best role players there are. Not, again, not about the mechanics, but it's just about part of being a role player is knowing when to give the spotlight and when to take the spotlight.
I think it's going to require even more cooperation than
absolutely.
these types of games used to require, which is a great skill to have, to be able to
it is, but not cooperation in terms of mechanics like doing combos and stuff.
Right, exactly.
Cooperation at the table of making sure that everybody gets their time, and it's not like I want to go first, because they tell you not to go first.
Right. Now I've been posting a lot of stuff on TikTok lately, and talking about stuff like that, about like the cooperative world building, and I've gotten a lot of comments back here and there saying, "Oh no, that's not right. Players shouldn't be helping build the world. Oh my gosh, blah blah blah." And I was like, seriously? That seems like such an old school way of thinking. And I wonder if some of these people have some control issues. And that's why they DM, because they want to be in control of the situation.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with players who have been genuinely shocked at how much creativity I'm willing to give up. And I'm like, I never really expected that I owned it. Like, it's never been a thought process for me to think
creativity that does not break your world.
Right.
Why?
But it's not my world. Like, I don't even think of it as
our world.
That's
right.
I know, but I know, and you're right. It's everybody's game. I know we're talking altruistically in the spirit of the game, but the reality is, if you're telling a story as a storyteller, you've got some structure to that story. So that's what I mean. As long as
a little bit. I mean, people would be really surprised at how minimal my framework and structure is.
I know. And again, you are an outlier. Okay, most people.
I would probably agree with that. I think I'm a bit of an outlier when it comes to a GM because I feed off of the players so much. Like, I should be in a full-time Dracula costume because I'm feeding. Like, the whole time they're playing, man, I'm feeding.
I wish you would. That would be fantastic.
That would be cool.
Please.
I want to see that. Super cringy.
I know. We could cosplay.
There's too many hot vampires out there. That's just not going to happen.
Too many hot vampires. I don't want to see you as a hot vampire, Jason.
No.
No.
I don't even want you to use those words. I'm already feeling dead inside. Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. No, thank you.
But I think normal mortal GMs, have somewhat more structure, and I think I see no problem with allowing the players to help build the world because all it does is just gets them more invested in the story. So
Absolutely.
Again, as long as it doesn't break your framework, your outline, I don't see the harm. I'm really surprised.
I also
backlash.
Yeah, I know. I also see a lot of players. Sorry, that don't think they can do it. Like they don't want the pressure of having to be creative. They just want to show.
And I think that's probably a lot of it is.
But I think that they don't realize that like the creative side of your brain just needs to be exercised and turned on. Like you were creative when you were like a little kid, and it's just society's turned it off for you. It's just a muscle you got to flex.
Of course,
you can get it.
I'm the same way, Jason. My players have caught on to me doing sometimes they won't say anything because they won't include it. Yeah, I think again, unless you're at a really seasoned table, I think a lot of players are just unsure or a little insecure until I think it's incumbent upon the DM. It's part of the GM. I need to start saying GM. Not like it matters, whoever. It's incumbent on the GM, I think, to a certain degree, to at least ease the players into the world and get it started, maybe.
Sure. Baby steps.
Yeah, give the flywheel a spin. And then I think it's a lot easier after a few sessions, even like 3, sometimes 2, 3, maybe 4 sessions. I think players then start to at least be comfortable and familiar with their surroundings, which is that world that you created.
Yeah.
And they're more apt to make some of those decisions. So unless you have a really mature table, I think starting out that way, it's like a shock to a lot of players. And that's maybe why they give that answer.
But I'm glad you brought up the Daggerheart initiative system, because we've all thought about what are some initiative solutions that we come up with, right? So there's always been a slight creation of homebrew rules to help us. There's always been the creative suggestions within the framework, like whoever has the higher decks beats a tie, right? Or little things like that. One of the ways I keep the pace of the game going is if they're taking on 7 enemies, I don't want 7 initiatives. That's a nightmare, right? You just can't keep that going.
Right.
But sometimes if you do that, it can affect the balance where if you say, okay, all 7 guys go at the same time, but yet the players are stuck going at different times. So the reason why I think that still works is because games aren't really meant to be balanced anyways, which is why if you look at most of the D&D characters, they're very overpowered to begin with. So it absorbs a lot of that space in the game where things just don't make sense. Like, initiative in D&D is so hyper structured. It's so hyper structured. It's like, whoever rolls the highest goes first. Like, it doesn't really take much. Like, it might take alertness into account. It might take like an initiative. There's certain things that might take into account. The thing that I love about Daggerheart's initiative approach is they're trying to solve more than one problem at a time through that initiative process. They're introducing the hope and fear resource mechanic. They're encouraging co-op play. They're, you know what I mean? So their initiative twist is like solving or attempting to solve quite a few problems, I think, at the same time.
I would agree. And I don't personally think that, the biggest problem with, you're right. The biggest problem with D&D initiative is it does not support collaborative play. At best, it's like, hold my action until this person does that. And 70% of the time, you hold your action and it's wasted.
You either have to hold your action or you have to take the help action.
Right.
Give somebody else advantage. And then I think a lot of people just feel like, well, that was boring. I didn't do anything.
Exactly.
All I did was give somebody else a better chance.
I love the fact that what Matt did is it's an open initiative system, which at face value seems like it could be a free-for-all. Well, I want to go first. I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? But he put a mechanic on top of it, which is the spotlight, right? Everybody keeps rolling until somebody rolls with fear, and then it's his turn. Which I think it's such a loose mechanic, but it also still keeps it from going off the rails from a free-for-all standpoint. Because I personally, I don't think a completely open initiative system would work. Players would never stop going. You know, it was like, I do this, I do this, I want to do this, I do this, I want to do that.
Well, that's not really initiative, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's that's not really initiative
by definition.
Right.
Yeah.
I think his solution for controlling that is a really elegant one, because it's a very it's almost like a passive mechanic, you know, but it still keeps it under control. Like first person goes and they roll with fear, boom, then he gets it.
Right. I think that actually makes it pretty deadly too, because I mean, we've seen
or he could even
of Umbra that they were already trying, like their characters were already on the brink of death because Matt can steal it back to his side just by spending some fear if he wants
exactly.
to. And then as long as he still has some, he can keep going and going and going and going, and they can be down and out.
And I think it does take a little bit more of a seasoned GM to be able to do that well, but I still think it's an awesome solution.
But I think I don't think it's that much of a long learning curve, because
no, I don't think it's a learning curve. I think it's just an adjustment that needs to be
But I mean, once again, so I was really enjoying the added mechanic of the damage system. Like, I really dig what they've done.
The damage system is so before this leaves my head too, let me just interject real quick. The deadliness of the game, and especially the Umbra framework, is fucking awesome in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because in Gary's game, what we're doing, he's doing just group initiative for each side. So everybody rolls initiative, and I think these are the new initiative rules in 2024, where everybody rolls initiative, and then the enemies roll initiative, and anybody who beats that initiative roll basically has like a surprise round and goes first, and then it just stops good guys, bad guys, good guys, bad guys type of thing. What that does is,
I think that's how DC 20 does it.
Maybe it's DC 20.
The initiative rules for D&D have never ever really changed. They've always been pretty much the same.
So we made that one change. So you're still rolling initiative. It matters less. But what that does is it kind of starts to broach what Daggerheart does, which is, okay, once you get past that who rolled higher than the enemies and you start just going back and forth, when it's the player's turn, you can swap around and do in any order anybody's movement, action, or bonus action or anything. So it does start to facilitate much more cooperative play and regular D&D.
Well, and what's really interesting is in Grimoires the Unseen, there's no initiative at all. None.
And and that's the thing. That I think that takes a really seasoned table and GM to be able to.
Well, I think the interesting thing is it's called simultaneous outcome, right? So there's, the reason why I like the no initiative in Grimoires the Unseen, the effectiveness of your character becomes more important than the timing of that first round. And with Grimoires the Unseen, because everyone attacks at exactly simultaneous time, you could have a whole bunch of hits and damage on your enemy and they're dead, but they still get their hits and damage on you because it's mimicking the idea that everything's happening at the same time. And the reason why I love that is I've watched the players really focus in on what their characters can do, because they're no longer using the crutch that I'm in line first. So no matter what, I go first. So I get all the advantages of going first.
Yeah.
Because I go first.
Right.
And the behavior of the player really shifts tremendously when you begin to realize that. And you can see that in Daggerheart too, because instead of being hyper-focused on the initiative, they're hyper-focused on their resource management. Like, oh man, I really hope I can roll with hope because I want to keep this ball rolling and I don't want to let down my friends. So, I rolled with fear, but we had already planned a co-op idea about this attack, so don't worry, we'll get it back. Whereas in D&D initiative is, and I see it 8 times, 9 times a week. I see the outcome of D&D initiative. The outcome is this.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. And that's the first disappointment. It's like, great, I rolled a 6 initiative, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got
then they got this. this until their turn comes around.
Yeah. I personally would have to see the grimoire, simultaneous thing in action, because I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't. I'm not convinced it works until I see it.
Well, that's because everything up to this point has been so structured.
I know
that the minute you get a glimpse into a very unstructured approach, it's shocking to the system. Like it is. It's visibly shocking to the system. But once again, the best part about this simultaneous initiative is that the speed of play just keeps going faster. I can run a 3-hour Grimoires the Unseen, and you can have 4 combat sessions and still have an hour and a half of role play.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
It's to me, there's a lot about Grimoires the Unseen I like.
Tons. I told you it's closest to what I've had in my head of. The way that people can build characters, just and with Daggerheart the same way. I'm starting to look at D&D character building and going, how do we add some spice to this to make it a little bit more interesting? I told you, it's for a few months now. I have really felt like,
You know what? Thank you, Dragon Painter. Thank you. I appreciate that. Most of the time, because players are playing with digital character sheets, that's usually that ends up being the case.
What were we just?
See how I do that? See how I derail that train?
You're doing that to me. God damn you.
Oh, man.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about initiative.
Initiative.
I know, but
we're about to transition over to the damage system. The threshold.
I like the damage.
The deadly factor, I think, is fucking awesome because I know what I was saying. You're right. Pursuant to the whole character creation, I told you, if you asked me create a new D&D character for a campaign right now, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. To go through all the choices and pick what I want to pick, I'm like, this takes hours. And then I still have to come to the backstory.
I feel like I've done it all. Like, it's not exciting to me.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I wouldn't know. I never get to play.
You have to make NPCs, don't you?
The deadliness.
Yeah, but I don't use D&D's method of NPC building, so I want people to be able to read books and read content without feeling like it's going to ruin or spoil their session. So I homebrew absolutely everything I touch. I take an orc and I remake it, or I take a dragon and I remake it. I create custom monsters because I want it to be a surprise. I create custom spells. I create custom feats and features. I create custom everything because I don't want the real players of a game to feel like, I don't want to read about that because it might ruin my, my game. And I'm like, no, don't worry. In Zero Session, I let everyone know that everything I make is homebrew. So any knowledge you have of dragons, you can throw out the window because my dragons are lethal. They are not something that you want to, suppose.
I've been in that lethal breath fire weapon.
But on that note about creativity and making things up and having some fun with that, because of the armor system and weapon system and damage system in Daggerheart, there's a lot more things that a player can do to mitigate and not have to do like hard math to figure things out now.
Yeah,
it's like math is a lot easier.
It's really not a complicated rule set.
No.
I rolled an 18 to hit. You look at the threshold, it's medium. You do this much damage because it's medium. If you're attacking a monster that has custom armor, has armor reduction in it, Matt could just go in, fill in the bubbles, and go, okay, it reduces, the damage threshold from medium to low because it uses the special armor. Once again, resource management so that you can throw curves, and you can do things that normally you wouldn't be able to do. Like, to me, the most ridiculous thing in D&D, the remaining, stupidest thing in D&D, your armor class is 20, and I roll with a 32 to hit. It's no different than if I rolled a 22 to hit, right? A 32 versus a 22 still hits an armor class 20. There's no real reward or risk for that.
I think the biggest thing the biggest thing that I currently have a problem with in D&D is the deadliness factor. So getting back to that with Daggerheart,
Oh
I
yeah.
tell you how I feel. Once you get past like level 7, 8, 9, I mean, it's just dumb. The hit point system is it's stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
even if you're a legendary hero, it just doesn't make sense. Again, by the rules in D&D, you could jump into a volcano, and if you crawl out quick enough, you're fine. Not this melted slag heap of flesh.
Right.
So I think the deadliness factor in and the death rules in Daggerheart are fucking awesome. That okay, this is spoilers if you haven't watched Daggerheart or haven't watched Age of Umbra yet. So spoiler alert.
Mute.
That battle with Velk in the monastery, I mean, that was like, that felt like a D&D BBEG fight. And it was just a run of the mill. It was like their second, fight of the campaign. It was just a run of the mill like thing. And it was fucking epic.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome.
Yeah. And two of them rolled, they did the gamble. So the death, for those of you who don't know, so the death mechanics are when you die or when you go down to 0, you can do one of 3 things. You can immediately die and go out like in a blaze of glory and
you get a critical hit and then you're dead.
Yeah, you get like a critical success.
The last critical
hit you want to do, right? The other extreme is you roll the hope and the fear die, and if your hope is higher, then you're alive and you get to clear whatever you rolled. You get to clear that many of hit points and stress. If you roll the fear dice, you're dead. You're dead. And then in the middle is you go unconscious. What's the middle one? You go unconscious.
I can't remember for how long, but somebody has to do something to bring you back.
You go unconscious until somebody heals you, like we're used to.
Yeah. At
the expense of the DM getting to do something.
He gets to make turn it really dark and bad
for his turn, for his team, if you will.
Right.
And you get to choose, and it's fucking fun.
Yeah, the fact that they both wanted to go for it and roll,
so,
and then they're all cheering at the table, and the dice came out and stuff. One of the things that I liked a lot, because I've played other games that have stress, so I'm glad that they added stress into this game. I didn't realize until I was reading through the rules, like you only have, room for so many spells, and then other ones have to go into the vault, and you can pay stress to pull a spell back out of the vault mid-combat. So there's no like, oh, we're going up against this guy today. I didn't prepare that spell. You can literally pull them out as long as you have the stress to spend. And I was like, this is so awesome.
One of the cooler mechanics of the game, personally.
Which makes sense, too, because maybe it would cause a lot of stress to all of a sudden in the moment. Remember,
I think with their system, too, they don't put a limit on spell casting. Like, as long as you can cast,
you just roll. Yeah, there's no spell slots.
Yeah. And I think the DC 24 AP system approached that because, it costs 2 AP to cast a spell. So I've got a couple tables that use the AP system, and they love it. If their wizard doesn't feel like doing anything but hiding behind a rock and popping off 2 spells at a time, they feel like a caster. They feel like a caster.
Yeah.
They're doing what they're intended to do. And the downside is, sure, you get to cast a lot of spells, but the downside is you're now out of spell slots faster than you would be under normal.
That you're using for our campaign is it completely changes the game. It's fucking awesome.
My Monday game and my Sunday game are both still using the AP system. There's 3 tables. I'm sorry. My Monday, Saturday, and Sunday games are still using the AP. My Wednesday night table game, I think 2 of my more seasoned players just don't like the lack of structure, and they need that structure to kind of formulate their plans. And I think they were struggling with the bonus action point. Like, how do you know if a bonus action is or isn't a point? But once we actually went back and purists. Once we actually went back and decided that all bonus actions are an AP as well,
Yes.
then it made sense, because if an AP, if a bonus action or a reaction costs you to use a spell, well, it still only costs you 1 AP, because we agreed that those are single AP uses. So it makes the formula and the math still easier to do.
You, if there was ever a player that would rail against a major change like that in a game that they've been playing for 40 years, 45 years, it would be me. I fucking love it.
Well, and I think, you know, I think the reactions mechanic is always a tricky one to pull off. Daggerheart sticks with the traditional idea of reactions. I think they don't want to overcook the chicken and make it dry and boring. Yeah. So reactions in general, I think, are kind of baked in these days. But in the 4 AP system that DC20 introduced, if you're a bard and you have the ability to silvery barb, all day long, you can use up all 4 of your AP to support your other players and do that. A bard who says, you know what, I'm going to do silvery barbs 4 times during my in-between time until my initiative. I may not be able to do anything when my initiative comes up because I just spent all of my AP on reactions, right? But yet that saved 4 characters' lives. That's a big support class deal. That's huge.
The important point is now, as a player, I have the ability to make that choice.
Yeah.
So again,
and you're more vested in watching what the other players are doing, because I have more reactions I could commit, and therefore make it more interesting. To that round that's going on.
Yeah. So it gives me yet another way to think about playing my character. So it's I like it.
Well, because I know I'm short on time too, because we got to go pick up the llama. But
that's not
all 3.
Things you never expect to hear on your stream.
I know, right?
Actually, going to only on Lawfully Chaotic.
Yeah.
I got to go pick up a llama.
But I
don't want to pick up my giraffe later. What are you picking up?
I think these 3 games that we keep talking about sometimes overlapping other things. When you think about DC20, you think about Daggerheart, you think about Grimoires the Unseen, and you can think about a lot of the newer games coming out. The trend is to give a lot back to the players. That's the trend.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think 5th edition and 2024 only gave back to the players one way, and that was to give them whatever they want to build as a character, as long as they follow the framework. If you don't follow the framework, you're not going to be able to build a character. And I think that's unfortunate, because I think the trend has been more narrative, been more cinematic, been more, like I have less interactions with my players telling them what to do. And I look at them, I go, just describe for me what you want to do, and we'll go from there. Right. They don't feel like they're framed into a certain way of play when they have a GM or in a system that gives a lot of that back to them, and that freedom and license to do what they want to try to do, as long as they agree they're trying to do something. They're not implicating, oh, I did that. No, you're trying to do it. I'll let you know what you need to roll. So it's not like we give all the license away, but the more license and more creativity we can give to the player, honestly, the less work it is for us as GMs. It becomes, I'm not going to say easier, it just becomes so much more creative that it becomes more simplistic for the way we want to encapsulate what they're doing, and then turn that into something larger scale that suddenly the players feel like, oh, we created that. That's really cool. Oh, wait, that's going to get us all killed. Why the hell did we create that? That's my fun part. I like when they realize they're like, oh, did we just kill ourselves? Or did we just make the BBEG? I've got one party that's slowly becoming the BBEG. Like becoming my Wednesday night group is a actual crime syndicate within Faerun, and they're knocking off all the
apotheosis of the murder hobos.
Yeah. Nice. They're knocking off Xanathar, they're knocking off Jaro they're knocking off the Harpers, they're knocking off all the competition and the do-gooders, and they're making bargains with liches and dragons.
Oh, jeez.
It's absolutely, I love it. It's hysterical.
That's
I
awesome.
Absolutely love it. because they do it with enough creativity that it doesn't feel like murder hoboism.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know, their wanted posters are all over the place. They know it.
Murder hoboism. Wait,
Yeah,
you're talking about us on Sunday, are you?
No, it's my Wednesday night group.
Oh, okay. It
Phase
kind of
Reckoning.
half sounds like us, but maybe not.
No, because I really feel like BG and Glide.
We're still the good guys.
Yeah, you're still kind of the good guys.
Yeah,
Kavik and Rupert, I'm not so sure. You could go either way.
Yes. Kavik is me.
Oh boy. Well, I'm in a scum and villainy game, and that's a Blades in the Dark thing. And you're supposed to be the scoundrels, you know. So we have a lot of fun.
If anybody out there ever watches our videos, if someone could either build a pirate-based game that feels fun to play as a TTRPG, that would be excellent. Age of Sail is okay; it's a little complex, but I don't know. I that's one thing I've been waiting to happen is like a solid TTRPG pirate game that just feels easy to play, sink your teeth into, and be pirates like traditional pirates. I mean, I've done pirate theme in D&D.
Yeah, I've never played a pirate game either.
That's interesting.
Let's just make one.
There you go. Dibs. Everybody out there on the internet, dibs. Right. So we did it again. Yeah. Well,
God, that hour goes by fast. I love how the timer is right by your fuck off finger up in the left hand corner.
I noticed that. That's been an hour already. But no, Kristen, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fun.
Thanks for letting me come back.
Yeah, you had a whole nother dynamic to the conversation. But suffice it to say, check out Daggerheart because I really think, and this is not me fanboying out. I mean, I didn't finish the last campaign of Critical Role because I didn't either. I just kind of it lost it for me. So, I did. I really liked it. Everything they do. But this is a fucking home run in my opinion. Even at this stage,
I think it's great. I've also had just as many people make comments on my TikTok saying, I had an opinion about this game and I gave it a little try and I was wrong. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I personally have not been this jazzed about a new role-playing game system in can't tell you how many years. Yeah.
So Brian, where can we find you?
You can find me at RPG and Co on Instagram. Send me a DM. I always love chatting, collaborating, brainstorming, call it what you will. Also check out playrpgandco.com, which is a website. A bunch of cool stuff there, apparel, merch, digital content that you could buy. Jason. Kristen, where can we find you?
Oh, well, you can find me at Kristen's Epic Adventures on YouTube, and I am putting up a lot more TikTok stuff. So I'm also Kristen's Epic Adventures over on TikTok. Come find me over there.
All right. Awesome.
Excellent. You can find me over at ttrpgacademy.life or over at Linktree TTRPG Academy. All my stuff is there. I don't know if I'm ever going to become a socials person. I'm trying, but
it's hard. It's time consuming.
Honestly, as soon as I start, I fall asleep, and that just that kind of narcolepsy just freaks me out.
You got a good handle on Discord, and I think that's probably your way.
Yeah, if you want to come over to our Discord and have some fun conversations and absorb a lot of content, head over there because there's a lot of stuff there to have conversations about. Yeah. We even created a category. Where is it? We created a category called a family of alternate systems for TTRPG. You have the DC-20, Cortex, Cypher, Year Zero, Apocalypse, Fate Core, GURPS, D6, Basic Roleplay, and Storytelling. So it's like, if you want to chat about anything or talk or drop info or be creative, pop over into the Discord and do that. So you can find that in my link tree for sure.
Lots of channels in TTRPG.
Yes. It's like a big fruit salad.
Yeah, when nobody seems to like fruit.
Too many.
Hey, Brian.
I want to play them all though.
Tell a story. I beat you. Tell a story.
Play games, Jason and Kristen. Yeah, you there yet?
Am I supposed to memorize this? I'm sorry.
Two words.
Tell me
6
what they are.
letters.
I'll say them. What are
Be
they?
kind.
Oh, absolutely, you gotta be kind.
Good night, everybody.
All right, thank you.